The last two games have seen us gain a bag of results as mixed as a portion of cinema confectionery. A big fat hat-trick from Long Kelvin was followed up by a disastrous result to some stags. We're still in the hunt, but only just. Welcome to episode 454 with me, Long Kelvin's hype man, and him, TTE's tactical tyrant.
Ooh, tyrant.
That's good, that wasn't it?
That was good. I liked everything until the last word, really.
Tyrant.
Yeah. That's a new one.
I also had T-Rex.
Okay, that's good. Yeah. Tyrannosaur Ross has actually been a nickname of mine in the past. Rhinoceros Ross has also been on that list for sure. So,
Opening question.
Okay.
Do you have cinemas in America?
Well, see, that was what I was just going to say. It was that, like, you might have thrown off the entire American audience because we have movie theaters in America. And the word film, as Mr. Burns would say, does not really exist over here either. So, no, we have movie theaters and IMAXs and all of those kinds of fun things. So, yeah. Do you call it pick and mix? That was actually my real question off the bat. That you called it, okay, because you called it cinema confectionery, and I was like, well, hang on a minute, has there been a branding change?
I was just trying to be clever.
Yeah, fair enough. I love pick and mix.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, we've got
It's been an interesting week, hasn't it?
Yeah, to say the least. We're going to say thank you to ZCZ Films and Voldemort, obviously, and his crew, the Amazons, for their musical genius that is our opening track. Indeed. And is it our ending track as well?
Yeah. I always kind of like fade it out nicely with your "Come on, you Royals" and all of that kind of good stuff. So I feel like listeners could probably guess when you're going to say "Come on, you Royals" now, based on like how much the solo is building up.
I say "Come on, you Ars."
Well, and you and I do have a tendency to waffle like in the 10 seconds before, like we actually finish up, which is great because then the solo comes in. If you listen to the audio version, it kind of sounds like we're being, like in the Oscars when like they want you to get off the stage and they start playing the music. It's kind of like that. It's like, all right, you're done. Off the stage, here we go. But hey, if we're vacating the stage, the Amazons are a perfectly fine follow-up act.
Yeah. I think the ending is always because we're like two blokes that just podcast like no one's listening.
Yeah.
And we just don't really know how to say goodbye professionally, which is not unusual for this pod.
Right.
And thank you to our beer supplier Siren. I have Expressions Strata DDH.
I do like the labels. They're pretty cool, aren't they? Obviously, you had one that had the climate stripes from a few years ago, recently, and that was really cool as well. But yeah, they're pretty cool, aren't they? Got some watercolors there.
Yeah, we get 10% off. Tilehurst End listeners get 10% off. I think it's Tilehurst 10 at checkout.
I have now put that into the description as well. So if you're on YouTube, it's down there. If you're in the podcast, you can go into whatever podcast feed it is that you use, and you can find that. And then also thanks again to Peter for coming on last week and doing an update on the women's team. Really good stuff. And you can find that in the podcast feed, or you can watch that on YouTube as well. But yeah, more of that kind of stuff coming. We're trying to keep up with it. Unfortunately, they did lose to Shoaling this weekend, though. They had 5 XG and they didn't score a goal. But the thing I've learned this weekend is that they track XG in the women's, in that tier of the women's game, which is remarkable considering one of the League One games didn't have it this weekend just gone. So making a mockery of League One, quite frankly.
Yeah.
But yeah, unfortunately the ladies couldn't get it done against Shoaling this weekend. So that's probably pretty much that on the promotion hopes now for this season. But there is still the cup tie to look forward to against AFC Portchester, I think it is. I keep calling them Portchester United, which is probably also a team, but that's not the team they're playing. They're playing AFC Portchester. So still coming up, yeah.
Andy Rinomoti used to play for them.
Oh, there you go. For AFC Portchester.
Yeah, the men, obviously.
Yeah, right. Okay. Yeah. That's all right. Good. Anyway, moving on.
Talking of fading promotion hopes, we're going to talk about the men. Talk about the first team in the recap.
I just love. Sorry, I'm cutting all over you immediately because I just love how much. Apologies, listeners, for the language. Immediately, piss you love to boil with that. Immediately, you're like, I'm just going to drop in here. Playoffs are gone, like right away, and that's the weird thing, right? Like at halftime during the Mansfield game, I think we were sitting in the playoffs or at least level. And if we had won that game, because the teams around us had a bad set of results themselves, we'd be sitting in those playoffs right now. So odd one, isn't it?
I don't know. I don't know about playoffs. I think the frustrating thing about all this is the inconsistency that we've shown all the way through. And you look at 17 points from 21 available. Yes, it's a good return, but we have to get points from all of the games we're playing now because we're chasing the pack, aren't we? If the season ended now, we're not in the playoffs. As simple as that. So we have to be in a situation where we are collecting points, and we'll come on to Mansfield in a bit, but it was a really, really poor performance off the back of what was gritty, determined, possibly a 9 out of 10 performance from Long Kelvin in terms of the goals that he scored.
Yeah.
Only one place to start, really, and that is him.
In
terms of the 3 goals that he scored out of effectively nowhere. I would like to tell everyone, though, that I was a witch on Saturday, and every time I tweeted about him scoring, he scored.
I'm sorry, what? You were a witch?
A witch, yeah.
You mean like an oracle or like a savant or someone who can predict the future? Which a witch. Okay. I just think when I think of a witch, I think of like double boiling trouble. No. Okay, cool. All right. So anyway, you're a mystic witch. Vibe.
Yeah. I mean, look, he. Desperate for him to score. He scored not 1, not 2, but 3 well taken goals. Obviously calamitous defensively. Let's make no mistake about it. He was, in some respects, gifted at least 2 of those goals, but still had to finish them. I'm absolutely delighted that he did that. What did you make of his overall performance?
I think that it may even be. I think the last one that he scored to kind of finish off his hat trick was definitely in that gift category. But something I'll say about Kelvin's performance in this game that made me happy was that the first goal and the second goal. Certainly, there's a great cross from Richie on the second one, and on the first one, there's been a mistake by Luton that's kind of made that a 50-50 ball. But one of the complaints that we've had about Kelvin throughout the year is that he doesn't always use the size of his body, that he has to actually, shrug defenders off, make himself like a little bit of space and things like that. But in this game, he was alert. He was looking for, the ball that was loose, and then he was able to kind of muscle past, the defender, also, desperately trying to get to the ball for the first goal. And then, the second goal that he scored, I don't know if I've seen Kelvin score a goal like that before. And that was kind of what was encouraging about that for me, was that, that's not necessarily what I think about when I think about a Kelvin goal. I kind of think about him getting the ball to feet and wriggling it between, a few players, finding himself a little bit of space to shoot. I feel like that's how a lot of our, his goals come from, those kinds of things. I certainly don't think of him as a guy that goes flying into these like aerial challenges to to try and score a goal. But so it was really good to see that. The third one, obviously that's fallen to him, and that's kind of where I do think that he's not too bad. With that finishing, he is good at getting like a low hard contact on it quickly. Just really a game where everything was kind of falling for him. I will say, and I don't want to get off Kelvin just yet, because I think there's a lot more to say, and I know that you have been his hype man. You were his hype man over the weekend. But I think it's kind of good for us that we got to do this pod at the end of the Mansfield game as well, because I think what we saw over the 180 minutes in general with Kelvin was the full spectrum of what he can be and what he does also struggle to do sometimes, right? The most notable Kelvin moment that I can think of from the Mansfield game is either him missing the ball early on for the Randall Williams chance or losing the ball in his own half, and that's something that we've seen problems of Kelvin before. So we've always thought he has this kind of high ceiling, and can produce a game like this, like with this hat trick that's come here. I think the encouraging thing for me was that he scored goals that were not necessarily the types of goals that I perceive him to be, frequently scoring. But again, with that Mansfield game coming right after, it did show us, like what the full spectrum of Kelvin can look like. And obviously, across the two games, I think that's kind of like more the average of what we see.
Yeah, it's frustrating in some respects because he's taken a lot of heat from the fan base, which I get, I understand. Players go in cycles, and we've said time and again, if things had not been faffed around in the summer and he'd just signed a contract, maybe things would have been different for him this season. Obviously, Jack Marriott is Jack Marriott, and so that doesn't help him. But to go from the performance that he had on Saturday against Luton, where he scores 3 goals, to that performance on Tuesday, and you could say that about a number of players, really. No, I don't think anyone performed particularly well on Tuesday night, but this is this is what we're dealing with in terms of the player base and the instability and the inability to be able to stay consistent. It's really, really frustrating, and that's where things get a little bit heated and things are said. I mean, apart from scoring goals, what else does he need to do to be able to see out the season in goal scoring form?
So I highlighted on my Bluesky over the weekend that I had made a video a few days earlier. He's kind of saying like, I'm not sure if Kelvin will ever come right at at Reading, and of course, it's fun to put that back out there in the aftermath of him scoring a hat trick, because I can go, hey, look, I'm an idiot. I'm just as much of an idiot as you. And listener, your opinion is just as valid as mine, even though I get to podcast sometimes.
As opposed to listeners, what you think of
one listener. Yeah. Well, you see, we've cannibalized our entire listenership to be on YouTube now instead as viewers, so we don't actually have listeners anymore. So listener. Anyway, yeah. But the thesis of that was that I think that Kelvin either needs the ball to his feet or he needs the team around him to kind of work for him.
I thought you literally just said feces.
Yeah, all right, good. The thesis of that is that he needs the ball in the final third. He needs the ball to his feet. He needs the team not built around him, but kind of at least knowing what kind of striker they're working with and what kind of chances that he wants to get. Notable thing from this hat trick, right? All 3 of these chances, all 3 of these attacks started in the final third. They were immediately in the final third. So there's no sense of Kelvin having to win the ball, help Reading get down the field and, help Reading create a chance and then, move on. I think that there were times when he did that okay this season. He seemed to have a pretty good relationship with Chirwa, but he's obviously been gone for quite a while now. But I don't think it's super surprising that this 3-goal game came when he was basically given 3 chances with the ball starting very quickly in the final third. So he's basically getting to see the defense not fully set, and he's not having to do a whole bunch of stuff before that chance comes up. So I think what we saw against Mansfield, and obviously this happened when he lost the ball and then it immediately became a shot for Mansfield, it was that he was just having to drop a lot lower. And something that I liked about the bravery of Reading in the Luton game, especially once Richie came on, was that they were pushing that high up. Richie wins the ball for that final goal for Reading, almost on the edge of the penalty box. He's so high up the pitch at that point. And that's something that we haven't seen loads from Reading this year. I feel like we kind of are very happy to drop back in. I think that's partially down to our in possession approach. But obviously, if you are going to spend a lot of time further back on the field, then you're going to end up defending further back on the field. So I thought that it was good to see Richie kind of leading a press, and kind of earning those, those last 2 goals for Kelvin, in this game. But
you just said Kevin.
Yeah, I called him Kevin. I don't really know.
What is the matter with you and your
I'm just all over the place today. Yeah, I'm drinking Jarritos. That's clearly what's going on here. So I shouldn't be allowed to drink Jarritos.
That's lime, isn't it?
It's lime. Yeah, it's
very. Is that Mexican?
It is. It doesn't taste anything like I thought it would taste, to be honest. But hey, it's very nice.
Yeah. Just as a reminder, when I'm drinking a beer from Siren, the official brewing partner of the Tilehurst podcast.
Yeah.
Just no reason other than I
Drop
wanted
that
to
in
say
there.
that.
Casual. Yeah.
No reason. So let's move on
Yeah.
to Mansfield.
Well, do you want to drop? Well, real quick before we go on to Mansfield, I think we should bring up the other player who I think has been the big feature in the last two games, which has been Joel Pereira. I would say, and obviously Joel Pereira against Luton had an interesting one. He was obviously in the crowd in the first 10 minutes when Reading scored their opener. And I wonder if he got a little whack to the back of the head or something that just made him a bit dizzy, because he made some decisions in the first half that I think were a little bit wild. Obviously, the kind of going up in the air for the ball that then hit him in the leg as he was coming down as well. That was a very odd one. And I think that it's worth bringing up Pereira, and it was kind of like very worth bringing him up right after this Luton game, because you've made the comment throughout this season that he is the best goalkeeper in the league. And I would agree with that. Like, I think we've seen that he has that ability. He has that ceiling in him. But it is worth noting, just on his numbers, those underlying numbers that I love to talk about. I'm going to say it: 3, 2, 1 XG. You're going to tell me off? I'm just making sure.
I'm coughing there. No, I know where you're going with it.
Yeah, well, I am going to explain it.
Okay, go on. You explain it, and then I'll come back.
Yeah. So basically, just to really quickly set the scene, last year Pereira was excellent. And if we're looking at goalkeepers, we're often looking at how much expected goals on target they have prevented over the course of the season. Last season, Pereira, after the 46 games, was 9 goals ahead of his expected goals on target. So I think that he had 54 expected goals and he'd only conceded 45. So a really, really good season from Pereira. And that kind of like matters like in the games. Like if you're turning away that much XG from your opposition, obviously you have a better chance of winning. This season, we're in the 30 game mark now. Pereira is sitting pretty much dead on his numbers, actually a little bit behind them after the Luton and the Mansfield game. And so I think that there are lots of other factors that come into this, like the type of defense that's in front of him, the solidity of the defense that's in front of him, the familiarity with that defense. Like he had been with Mbenge and Bindon for quite a long time, through last season. But I think it is at least worth pointing out that Pereira's numbers are not as impressive as last season. And if they were at the level that they were last season, you could probably make a credible argument that Reading would be firmly in the playoffs, and maybe a little bit higher. But I can't really throw that many, like there aren't that many games I can throw at Pereira and say, this is all your fault, you lost us this game, in the way that we'll sometimes talk about the Kanaya Boyce Clark game against Leyton Orient last season. So anyway, that was my apparently quick explanation.
I couldn't come off mute.
Yeah, I know. You started head bobbing, which I liked. Yeah.
Is he the best goalkeeper in the league? Like, the problem for me is that no one's putting pressure on him at all. And, we've had this issue for a long time in terms of goalkeepers and I guess a lot of clubs do, that the stock isn't high in terms of that competition because there's only one place. Mm-hmm. And I think if there was anyone remotely competent, would Liam look to change it? I don't know. What would be the justification for doing that? Like you could say, and I've heard credible people comment that we probably need a new goalkeeper in the summer, and I don't think that's unreasonable. I don't think that is completely out of the realms of possibility. But what do you do with him now? As you are with the other players, do you drop him? I don't think he's done enough.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
He's not playing well, is he?
He's not playing where he was, I think, is the thing. Like I think that like you can certainly end up with a goalkeeper that like ends up below the averages. So like that would be worse. Like he's not actively, I don't know that like he's in that many games actively costing us the game or like costing us goals in key moments. And I can think of like the penalty save and other things like that that have actually, you know, like saved us in some moments. And I do think this is why like I'm not happy with losing away to Mansfield, obviously. And we should never have to play on a cow pasture again because we really don't do a good job on those. But I do think that he played really well against Mansfield. And I think that like there's been a lot of talk about goalkeepers this week, obviously, in the, you know, like the Champions League, there's been some wild goalkeeping performances. And I think that one of the things that's worth like just remembering with that is that it is such a lonely position. You are by yourself as a goalkeeper. And, you know, like, as you say, you know, he hasn't really had any like solid competition for the last like year and a half. So I think that like he can, you know, you will get in your head after a little bit, like, yeah, I can do whatever I want. And like, I'm still exactly, like, you know, the number one. I feel like Joe Hart got into that like thing, like his career ended a little bit earlier at the top level, partly because of like the style of football changed not to his suiting, but also because he just hadn't had that competition behind him for quite a long time. So yeah, I totally see what you're saying. I do think that like we just gave him a contract in the summer, and I definitely think that he could still return to, you know, the levels that he was at, especially if the defense next year is pretty much the same as what he saw this year. And obviously he's got Ben Ward, you know, most likely next year, Porty O'Connor most likely next year as well, maybe Des next year as well. So I think that will help him. But yeah, it's just, you know, it's kind of like worth pointing out that the performance is not quite the same as last season.
Yeah, I mean, the Mansfield game was a mess.
You really don't want to talk about it. It wasn't fun.
I think you know we difficult with the scheduling because obviously talking about Luton straight after it would have been, you know, we're making the playoffs with, you know, we're going to go up through the playoffs. Who are we playing in the Championship next year, right? That would have been probably the tagline. Within reason, as you know, listeners. We have to try and stay as grounded and level as we can, but sometimes we do get carried away.
Nah, it's football. What's the fun in being grounded? Nah, that's not what we stay for.
But after the game on Tuesday, I was very, very cross. Very, very cross. Very, very disappointed because, with all due respect to Mansfield, league-wise, they're on the beach. They're not, you know, it's highly unlikely they're going to get dragged into a relegation battle. They're not making the playoffs. They're going to be in League One for another season. They'd had their big day on Sunday against Arsenal, you know, did all right by all accounts. So we should have really taken them to task, and we should have really just gone for it based on the way that we hope our season will end. Mm-hmm. So it was a really, really frustrating result. And we didn't really push them. You know, I think it was 50-50 possession, which is really unusual in a game of football these days. But we just didn't do anything with the ball. You know, we didn't really push them in the attack in third. We didn't create much. We were sloppy overall. Pereira was poor. Like, there were so many things throughout the team. You know,
Pereira was poor with his feet, just to clarify. Like, he was poor with his feet for sure. Like I thought he made some good saves in this game, but like you're right, like he really struggled with the pitch. Like the pit, I mean, another freaking cow field to play. I don't know what's going on. Is it just raining every single second of every single day in that country right now?
Over the last week and a bit, it still drizzles a bit, but the rain is hard to. And I heard you reference this on the pods you had with Pete around women. It's no surprise their games have been called off. Like the pitches have been horrific. They've been really, really bad, and it's been a really hard winter. But look, teams cope with it. They do cope with it. We just couldn't get a foothold in the game at all.
I thought that Pereira struggled with the floor a bit, and that was kind of causing issues whenever we wanted to move the ball along the floor. Like there was a huge ruts in the ground in the middle of the penalty box that were kind of causing issues. And I thought that, you know, the thing that was unfortunate about this is that Reading could have had this wrapped up in 15 minutes. Like we had two chances that we should have scored both of them really. You know, Savage should score when Kamari Doyle puts the ball back across the front of the net and he puts it wide. Kelvin should score, and then Kamari Doyle should score when Randall Williams gets free. And by the way, Randall Williams gets free down that channel because Charlie Savage has hit it first time into that channel. Worth noting, you know, because I've just thrown Charlie under the bus for missing, but he did also help create the first chance. Yeah. But Kamari Doyle could have won us this game in 15 minutes. And I am finding myself frustrated frequently in games at the moment when he is withdrawn, because there are many times in which he's literally the only creative outlet. He's the only player in this Reading team that can consistently dribble through the middle of the field. Like Randall, I think, does have something about him in that regard, but he does have a tendency to overrun it a little bit, kind of like Chihuahua did. Paddy Lane's just too lightweight for that. Like he has, you know, 1 or 2 games. I don't know. But yeah, like I just think Kamari Doyle is like really good, and yet like when he came off and we were looking, you know, we were in the TT group chat, Mark Mayo of this parish just said, will he ever complete 90 minutes? And you do wonder if it's like a fitness thing, but if it was a fitness thing, why does he start every single game? You know, like it's bizarre that he does come off all the time.
It does feel a little bit like the 106 season where it's like, you know, Convey always came off and Stephen Hunt always came on. You know, if there was a little bit like that substitution, you know that Kamari Doyle was going to come off at some point.
But if wouldn't you like the problem is, right, like if in that kind of situation that you just said, right, like Convey to Stephen Hunt, like there's a direction of travel and there's like something we're trying to do. But I don't feel like Kamari Doyle is like consistently replaced by the same person. So it's like, okay, we're going to use like a half space winger for this like part of the game, and then we're going to put in like a different guy who's going to go in and play in this way. It's like, all right, well, get Kamari off, and then I don't know, stick Nyembe back in the game.
Yeah, but this goes back to what we've consistently said with this squad is it's a complete mishmash. Like it was set up in the summer in a really odd way, no real consistency or understanding. Liam's come in, he's tried to bring in players that he thinks we need, whether or not they fit the system, who knows long term, because we still don't really know what his long term vision for the team is on the pitch. But it's square pegs round hole. That's what it is, and it's like you're right. Take him off. I just stick someone else on. Why take him off? Like I'm not. I probably don't see the things that you see with Kamari Doyle, but I understand that he has more of an impact than other players coming on. So what's the point of taking him off? Like, is it a fitness thing? As you said, I don't think it is. It's all just really, really odd. The whole thing, and this is what makes it so annoying, because if we were a mid-table now, it's the hope that kills you, isn't it? You know, if we're mid-table, fine. We'll see out the season. We've got X amount of games left. Try and bring in some of the younger players, maybe back off loan, see how they do in a competitive environment when there's low risk in terms of results and picking those up, if there ever is in professional football. But, you know, if we were on the beach now, and I got criticised a few weeks ago for saying that, but hopefully I've clarified that since, like, it would make it so
we're on a
much easier
beach that sometimes has playoff challenges on it, you know, like we're on a beach that like you could catch a last minute flight to the playoffs.
I don't think we will get playoffs because we're too inconsistent. We're too inconsistent.
Yeah.
Like,
No,
when
I agree with that.
To it, like how can you have the type of performance and grit and doggedness? And it wasn't perfect on Saturday. Of course it wasn't. Like, we're playing a team that is also scrapping to stay within that top part of that league, and they've got their own issues, Luton, and you know it goes around in cycles. But how can you go from that performance where there was a willingness to get those second balls and to get up the pitch and to hassle them and to you know to be as defensively solid as we were for a large part of the first half, and then turn up on Tuesday and do that? I just don't understand.
Can I tell you how I think that happens? As like in terms of like being a player, like I genuinely think it comes through like the missing 2 great chances in the first 15 minutes. Like you see, and this is like, you know, like partially I think because of the last few chances too. But when Kamari Doyle passes into the middle and Savage misses just wide of the goal, Kamari Doyle just like does like an exasperated like ugh, like, and I don't think it's at Charlie. Like I think it's at the fact that like Yeah, no, but I don't think it's like at him. I think it's like he knows that they've had 3 chances in the game already that they should have scored from. He's missed one of them, right? So like he knows that like he's just as responsible for that. So I think he's just like frustrated. Like I'd done, he'd whizzed around the box, done so much, and then still got nothing. And I genuinely think like if that happens to you, and then you've like exhausted a lot of energy, and because Liam loves to do these like early game, like send Reading out and really try and get something in the first 10 minutes. Like we saw it against Luton. But like, so if you have that sort of like first 15 minutes, yeah, and then like you have missed a bunch of chances, I think it's really disheartening. And then the other team gets up the pitch, they start to shellac your goal. Great word, shellac. And then, like it just suddenly becomes a very different kind of performance. Like I think it's death by 1,000 cuts, that kind of thing. It's like, God damn it, like we haven't managed this. So I think to give you some sort of nonsense explanation that isn't actually what's going on, that would be what I would interpret it as. There's a few things going on now whereby I do think we're starting to see some sort of like philosophy from Liam, as well as like kind of how he has his team play. There have been times in the last week when I've almost been like, are we a back 3 team now? And that like Ben Ward, Des, and Porty O'Connor for a while there seemed to be pretty much set, would start every single match. And, when Reading went up the field, they would be the 3 guys that kind of stayed back with one of the fullbacks moving up. And in the game against Luton in particular, Randell Williams was so deep for large parts of that, like really getting into that like back 5 sort of shape, if the opposition had the ball in our half. And then again, like there were times when we used a similar sort of thing against Mansfield. I don't necessarily think that's what it is though. And I don't necessarily think that like just doing the drawing them onto us and then trying to kick over the top is what we're doing, though I do think that we do that quite a lot. I think that like one of the hallmarks of this team that Liam is trying to put into them, which makes the squad building look mishmash at times, and maybe I'm giving him too much credit, but I think that I think he's pragmatic, and he wants to kind of like create something for the opposition every time. Like we know he likes to match up man v man, on the marking, on the press. And I just think that like there was a really good video that I sent into our chat this week, done by JJ Bull of The Athletic. And he was talking about Hearts and their season, not my Hearts, not the Hearts of Pine, Heart of Midlothian. And he was talking about their really impressive season.
Yeah, the actual Hearts.
The actual Hearts, yeah.
As much as you bang on about it, no one goes, oh, did he mean...
I don't know, mate. I think they might, like it's right over my shoulder right here. Like that's what they're on about. They're like not that mighty Edinburgh, pillar of the community. Anyway, yeah. So anyway, he did a really good video on Hearts and how they play. And like one of the things he talked about in that video is the pragmatism and being flexible and using different shapes and different scenarios. And they start out of like what has been a 4-2-3-1 as well, which Reading still create that shape on the field quite a lot. And so, yeah, I just think it was very interesting. I think that it would be interesting for Reading and Tilehurst End fans to watch that video and then just put Reading, like Liam's Reading, into their head as they're thinking about it. Because I think to a degree, that's the philosophy that, that Liam is going with. And that's kind of like an endless debate in football, right? Like, should you be a pragmatist or should you be an ideologue? Like, should you be Conte and be like, I don't care that I don't have the players to play a back 3. I'm playing a back 3 and you guys can all go hang, basically. Or should you be someone who can be like, okay, this is what the opposition's doing. These are the players that I have available today. This is what's working in the team at the moment. We're going to use this setup, but we may go to a back 3 in the next match if that's what, the situation demands. So I think that's kind of Liam's philosophy to a degree. And I think that's kind of like what you can see on the field.
I think we're still in the early stages of that. And
yeah,
despite, like we said last week, about a reasonably positive fans forum where he was able to, share his opinion, his thoughts, his processes a little bit more to what is essentially a selective audience. I I still think we need to see more from him. I really do, and we all know, you know, both us presenting this, but also you listening, that the club aren't going to get rid of him unless there is a massive drop off over the next 2 months. They're not going to chuck him. They want him to stay for the long term and really sort of turn this club around on the pitch. So, as we said time and again, the summer's massive. I think, you know, moving forward, we will probably do a pod exclusively in terms of where we're at with all of the players, and kind of do like a squad rundown, a squad profile of where we think we would stick or get rid of. So that'll be coming in the next couple of weeks, if and when it's confirmed that we are definitely out of the playoff running.
Well, and then here's a question for you on Liam, Ben, because I'm going to go back on our favourite website and look up, you know, where Reading are since he came in again, because I reckon that will have improved a little again. So I have 2 questions for you about Liam, I suppose. Do you think he wants to get promoted this season?
What, Liam?
Yeah. Do you think Liam wants to get promoted this season, or do you think that he would prefer, you know, like stay in the same league so he gets the whole summer to do what he wants?
Well, I think it's a good question. I think I would be gobsmacked if he was kind of privately talking to his staff and saying it's not a good move if we you know, get promoted, you know, because we need to be competing at a higher level really in terms of the club and bringing people back. Do I think he'll be absolutely devastated if we don't? No way. Is it easier to rebuild a squad who's been in League One for 4 seasons or has been promoted to the Championship for the first time? It could be a financial disaster, and you could end up with more you know, sharks than you want in the team because they're looking for a payday or they're looking to play up at a higher league. Whereas
I love that idea now. I haven't thought about that before. I think about a loan shark, but I never think about like a player shark that's like stealing.
It's amazing, but we've had so many horrific characters, you know, over the years who have looked at us as a cash cow, and they've just been as bad as the previous owners, quite frankly, because they've contributed nothing to the club, they've contributed nothing to the community, and they've sapped us of money. And
I'm going to ask you about some of those later, which is kind of fun. There's a new feature coming later, so look forward to that.
Yeah, but do you see what I'm saying in terms of that? So if we got promoted now, no Reading fan would be complaining, but from a building point of view, it makes it a little bit difficult, I think. Whereas in League One, you go, our expectation is that we want to be getting promoted this season, as in 26, 27. So bringing players into that project is so much easier on a positive spin rather than saying we want to stay up in the Championship. It's a totally different conversation and a totally different market that you're looking in. I think we need to bring in more youth players in terms of the players we've got coming through the academy who, you know, if you're looking on paper and the squad balance, they are all out on loan currently at the moment. They need to come back into the team and really feel part of that group, whereas, you know, with Noel, there was an element of that, but they struggled. They didn't have the pre-season maybe they needed to. It wasn't inbuilt in them. It wasn't ingrained. So there's a whole bunch of things at play there. But it's a good question. Do I think he's actively stopping us from getting promoted? No.
That would be amazing.
I don't think he's also promoting that. I don't know how you explain Saturday to Tuesday. I just don't understand it.
Well, I've already explained that. 15
Well,
minutes.
yeah, but you didn't, did you? Really?
Like, yeah, all right.
You just gone there, good one day and rubbish the next.
Tank Commander Ben has come in. He wants us to tank, listeners. He wants us to tank. Something that you mentioned, sorry, and that's why I started rudely interrupting you again. And honestly, listeners, you could do like a drinking game for how many times I interrupt Ben during the pod. But speaking of bringing players back from loan and integrating them well, Sean Patton looks decent, like fine, like not a bad third choice striker. Obviously kind of like we're rolling on Kelvin and Sean right now, and I think that Will Keane coming back looked a bit more professional in the little bit of time that
I think summer, one of the projects is to look at Long Kelvin and go, you're either a striker or you're a winger.
Yeah, like pick and like let's do this. Yeah. I know what you mean.
And just be positive with that, because I don't know. Yeah, he did score 3 goals. He was great. I really wanted to do well, but He's not a striker, is he? We know that.
I
We've said that so many times.
I still think it's just the case of I don't think I think he is a striker. Like I think he would tell you he's a striker too, from what I remember of what he's talked about. I don't think he's amazing, but I think, like I said, I just think that he needs a team that's going to present him with like a lot of opportunities with the ball in the final third, and we are a team that creates opportunities through like transitions often, whether that be, like actual transitions or like we can create artificial ones, through drawing them onto us and pushing the ball over the top. And that's just like not really what Kelvin likes doing. So Liam, November 1st until today, 22 games played, pretty much the same as everyone around us. Reading are fifth in the league in that time, with a goal difference of 11, which is joint for fourth best in the league in that time. They have 39 points from those 22 games. So getting relatively close, like we can like remember points that have been dropped, by this team at times when they didn't need to in recent weeks. Port Vale, in particular, comes to mind. And you get a few of those points and we're running at like 2 points a game sort of rate right now. It is odd though, isn't it? Because it never feels like it. And I think that is just like partly a result of that like being pragmatic like sort of like philosophy, because I think that to a certain degree that is a reactionary philosophy, so you're always going to be reacting to the other team a little bit. But maybe he learned a lot about business sales through doing it, so who knows.
For those of you that don't know, Ross besmirched Liam Richardson the other week by calling him Mr. LinkedIn.
This I actually I laughed very, very hard at Mr. Bobbins in the group chat when we went 1-0 down to Mansfield, and he just made the comment, and maybe this is a good place to leave it on the review. He just said, "This is not the best version of ourselves."
Yeah, it was quite amusing, really.
Quite funny.
We've had some good one-liners in that group over the last week or so. It's been it's been quite funny. Well, look, I mean, Lynn Kelvin was starting to trend on X over the weekend, which was just thank you so much. I can't thank you enough for all the support you've given that. And Mr. LinkedIn has taken off
Yeah.
a little bit. So
it's good, Mr. LinkedIn, because you can claim that it's not actually about Liam, whereas like what I did that was stupid was call him LinkedIn Liam. Hey, look, LinkedIn is a very popular platform, all right? It's the professional social network, so no laughing. Oh, no, I don't know. It's the kind of thing that like your dad would tell you to do.
Instagram. Oh, I don't really use it. And then
Yeah.
you ask about 100% you're on LinkedIn. You just
Well, I'm on LinkedIn, but like I think I find the general like LinkedIn stereotype like funny and like so like I've probably not actually seen anything real from LinkedIn in about 10 years. All I've seen is people making fun of it. So my entire perception of LinkedIn is that it is just full of these guys that are like, I woke up at 4 a.m. and I split my day into 6 bananas and then I rubbed ice water on my face. Like that's the vibe I kind of think of.
Here's what getting my child ready for World Book Day taught me about project management.
Is it not called the
Stuff like
Scholastic Book Fair anymore?
No, there's two. Well, that is a thing, but there's
Okay.
also you're missing the point. I made a joke
Yeah.
and you've spoiled it.
Oh God, I'm sorry.
Let's just go to the mailbag. Forget it. It's over.
Yeah.
Right. Welcome back to episode 454.
54. I don't think we said that at the start, did we?
I don't know why I find this so difficult. I really don't.
It's tough to count. Counting's tough, mate. So, emails.
Have you got an email?
One. We forgot to put the thing out, right?
No, we didn't. Sim did because he's an idiot.
Oh, okay. Well, we got one email.
We're a family show. We got one email. Who's it from?
Yeah, we got one email, and then we're going to do our new feature. So it's from Alex, and I thought it was a good one to highlight anyway, because Alex, I think he was at the Luton game, and
he was. We need to get him on, really. He needs to come on a pod a bit. Well, I say a bit more. The second time.
Yeah. Yeah, no, he needs to come on the pod again, and also but like it's good to like highlight the really good work that he does for the Tilehurst website because he's always
Amazing.
writing. And I've been skiving in the last few months with all of my ratings and things like that. And he's really been kind of like stepping in and doing a lot of those. So thank you, Alex, for letting me take off and do other stuff. So anyway, Alex says, a question for you, or perhaps more for the tactical prowess of Ross. I'm going to let you explain it first. Can you...
Why don't I just go and have another bit while you
Look,
that?
he wrote it. He wrote it. I thought about Alex, you need to, next time you write something to us, don't say something like that, because I thought about keeping that out. I didn't want to upset Ben. Anyway, you're going to explain it. Can you explain to me the logic behind Pereira's weird goal kick routine with Des? And he says, I'd love to know Ben's vibes-based thinking behind this as well. What do you think?
Explain it.
Yeah, why does he do that thing? And I agree, by the way, it's very modern football odd, isn't it? Like when he does like the little pass out to Des and then Des passes back to Pereira, who then launches it into row Z. So yeah, why does he do that?
My instant response to that sounds like a perfect question for you. No, I'm joking. Why do I think they do it? My impression is that they're trying to play out the back, but at the same time they're trying to draw players towards them to create space further up the pitch. So, but it doesn't work because we're not that good. You know, he doesn't have the ability to drop balls into the space that if a striker or forward player has taken the bait from the opposing team at that time, he doesn't have the skills to drop the ball in. That's my take on it.
Yeah, I don't think you're that far off. And it is worth saying, like, Pereira's hands have been holy throughout the whole time. I mean, like, holy as in good, not as in like he's got holes in his hands. I realized that wasn't a very good way to describe a goalkeeper right after I said it. Pereira has been good with his hands throughout his time at Reading. With his feet, he's been more mixed. Like, I've had trouble. I've complained at times that when he's delivering the ball high to the right side of the field, he has a real problem with that. Then this game against Mansfield, obviously, like I said, he had problems with the pitch. So do you know what a run pass option is?
I swear you just make things up.
I just make things up. Yeah. And this is something.
A run pass option.
Yeah, so a run pass option it's basically a play from the NFL, from American football. And basically, with a run pass option, you are giving, as the coach, a lot of responsibility to the quarterback to decide how the play is going to come out. So basically, what they do is they draw up a play that can turn into either a run or a pass, and depending on what signal the defense gives them. So sometimes, like if you're a quarterback, you can get the defense to show you what they're about to do by using like your voice or something like that. Or like right after the ball is snapped, like he'll be able to see what the defense is doing and you can kind of like make a decision. I think that's kind of partially what that is. Like, I think it's partially like they make that first pass to Des, they watch to see what the defense does. And if the defense gives them like a certain cue, they'll go around the corner and try to build like a pass back inside to a six. But if the defense is not giving them what they want, I think they just kick it over the top. Like, I do think Reading are quite happy to kick it over the top, especially when you don't think they were that good.
I don't think we're that intelligent as a football team. I really don't. And I'm not trying to be negative or down on them, but I just don't. The in-game intelligence of a lot of these players is not good.
I think. Right. What is that? Sorry. No, I don't necessarily think I am right. I think it's more like that's one way I could like explain it, I suppose. But it does look very odd. Like, there are some things, and I mean, like, there's always going to be some odd stuff when the third division tries to do fancy kickoff routines and stuff like that. But I do confess it looks very, very odd. But yeah, like, I just wondered if it's some sort of like option look where they're trying to see what the defense gives them. They may even be trying to use that just as like a piece of information for the coaching staff, like because they do that, it draws the the defenders up a little bit, and now they're like, okay, I know who's going to push when we get into the final third, so we're going to go around this way. Again, maybe like we're just not that good, but I do think that we make adjustments in games, that can go on to help us. So this might be something that's going on there. There's a second part of this. He says, Ross, I'm getting caught up on the pods, and the last one I listened to, you were learning Spanish. Now, if you do remember, look at his face. If you do remember, Alex lives in, is it Madrid? I think he lives in Madrid.
Yes, he does.
Yeah. So Hala Madrid and all that kind of good stuff. But he says, entonces.
So while we're on that subject,
yeah.
Have you? I don't want to promote other podcasts, and I definitely don't want to promote this one. However, do you know Stick to Football with Gary Neville, Roy Keane?
I think so. Yeah.
It's got Gary Neville, Roy Keane, Paul Scholes. Literally adds nothing to it. Ian Wright's on there. Jill Scott's on there. Like, there's a group of people.
Oh, okay, yeah. Every clip I've seen of that show that I've been like, I like that, is Ian Wright and Jill Scott. Yes.
Yeah, fine. So, but Gareth Bale was on one of the latest ones. Someone I know sent it to me and said, you really want to listen to this? Like, I really like Gareth Bale. And I was like, where have you been? Yeah. It's really interesting. Really interesting. So it's definitely worth a listen. I don't think I've ever listened to a podcast that has as many in-show adverts as that one.
Okay.
But they're obviously raking it in terms of the sponsorship because it's a big one. But yeah, Gareth Bale was on it recently, and it's well worth a listen.
Did he speak Spanish? Is that why you brought it up? Did he speak some Spanish?
No, but he was talking about the culture of Madrid, and it was fascinating to listen to. It really was, and most of it was really around Madrid because obviously that's where we, at club level, won 5 Champions Leagues or whatever. It was just ridiculous, but it was just really interesting to hear around a culture and the mentality and what he was doing. So anyway, I've completely and utterly
I like that. It's good. I'm giving recommendations. You're just matching me, which is good because I was giving recommendations for other videos and things for people to watch. Just one note though, you can watch more on the Tilehurst End channel, of course. There are lots of good videos down there and in the short section for you to check out. So there's an explainer of how I think Reading kind of play in terms of like drawing the team onto us. And if you need a refresher on that, it's a good one. He says, entonces, para ti, Ross, ¿puedes explicarme el lógico de la rutina de los saques de puerta con Pereira y Des? How's that, Alex? Was that, how was my pronunciation?
It sounded good.
Okay. I've been trying. I'm trying to get better.
Could we drop you in Mexico with your Jarritos or whatever?
Yeah.
And could you crack on with a conversation?
No, probably not. And you know what's kind of like funny is that like the way I kind of like I decided to finally like learn Spanish because like I have players now that like speak mostly Spanish and I want to be able to talk with them like more natively. But the way I got into Spanish originally was because I quite like Bad Bunny and I do enjoy his music, and his Puerto Rican Spanish, according to other Spanish speakers, is very like mumbly. It's very like he uses a lot of slang. Like they use English words in Puerto Rico too. And so like it's a really weird type of Spanish. So I've been hearing that for ages. And then when I started learning it real.
When he had a match on a pay-per-view for WWE.
Oh, he did he? That's funny.
Oh, it's unreal. The entrance is unbelievable because it was in Puerto Rico and people just went mental.
Oh yeah, they would have done, yeah.
So someone I know really well, she'll be listening, watching this, and she will understand because she's fluent in Spanish pretty much.
Oh, nice. Okay, there you go.
So she will be able to understand what you've said. What did you say?
I said exactly what he said. I mean, por supuesto, mi español no es bueno, pero hablo un poco de español. And that's where I'm done. See, I can speak like basic level. Anyway, what was that?
You sound good.
I sound right, and that's like half the battle. But I think as soon as like you speak to actual Spanish speakers, I think it'll be bad. Anyway, This is apparently the mailbag. The reason that we're buggering on is because we don't really have much of a mailbag today.
We're just filling.
After cancelling the review, we basically cancelled the mailbag this week too. We didn't actually. We just kind of made a mistake. But to fill this in, I do have a new feature. Do you want to just like name it on the fly? You want to just like come up with a new feature name? It could be anything you like. Quiz time. Is that it? Okay. I'm going to call it the run pass option, seeing as that's what we were talking about this week.
What about question wang?
Question wang. All right, good. Okay, so we're going to go into question wang right after this. Right,
welcome back to the final part of episode 454. I've no idea what's going on. I don't know how we've managed to fill 55 minutes and 19 seconds. With
one email and a game that happened 6 days ago. No one can mumble and ramble like we can. Anyway, so welcome to, was it not Quiz Wang? Question Wang. Welcome to Question Wang. Yeah, welcome to Bark's Question Wang. So what we're going to do in this, and if you have other football podcasts that you listen to, the format of this is going to become quite obvious to you quite quickly. But what we're going to do, Ben is going to have 3 lives because he's the only one doing this. And basically, I am going to give him a topic that has a list of answers. And he is going to see how many of those answers he can give me before he's out. So the topic is the most expensive signings in Reading history, the players that broke the Reading transfer record when they came into the club. I will give you the first one, which is Carla Saba. No, don't worry. There's still lots of them. So Carla Saba came in 1997 for £800,000. And that was our most expensive signing until time in the 2000s, which I'm not going to tell you right away. So there are, let me just check here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 players from Reading history for you to guess it. Don't look at your phone. You can't look at your phone.
I'm trying. I'm using a pencil and I'm trying to think about how I can answer these. Have I got to do them in chronological order, or can I just give them to you?
No. You can just give them to me. Give me any players that you remember broke Reading's transfer record. That is so if that player broke Reading's transfer record, that's who I'm looking for. Okay, so I'll give you 3 outs. Do you want to start guessing? It's tough, this one, isn't it?
Emerse Fae's in there.
Correct. Emerse Fae came in let me see here. Emerse Fae came in 2007 for $2.5 million, widely regarded as one of the worst signings in Reading's history. So you got that one. Good job.
Greg Halford will be in there.
Correct, Greg Halford, and that is very much in. Can you explain to me who Greg Halford was?
Oh God, he was a mess.
Okay,
he was supposed to be some sort of one. I would say that him and Faye were the worst signings Steve Coppell made.
Okay. I feel like
I'm happy to open that up to the floor. Come back at me if you don't agree and there was someone worse. But in terms of money signings and the amount of money Greg Halford wasn't there for very long.
Yeah. I always think of like Marek Matajowski from this era in terms of like the guy who came in as a centre mid and actually like somewhat helped the team. And Solki Hyun obviously in that way. Anyway, you've got 2 of the 8. So I'm looking for 6 more. You've still got all 3 of your lives. Very good. One of them is one of your all-time favourite Reading players. So no pressure.
All-time favourite Reading player? What?
One of them is one of your favourite Reading players of all time, yeah. I think he is, anyway. All right, shout a name. You got 3 lives.
Okay, well, George Puskas will be in there.
George Puskas is in there. Wait, what was that second one that you said?
Ajaria.
Ajaria is not on the list. So
He's not on the list?
No, you've lost 1 life there. He is not on the list.
Right.
Because I think we only signed him for like $3 million. or something like that. George Pushkas is on the list, and George Pushkas, this is me filling to give you time to think, so be ready. But an initial fee of £2 million, but rose all the way to £8 million. I wonder how much of that actually got paid out in the end, because he didn't meet many performance goals, obviously. But I'll always remember that game against Wigan, where he scored the hat trick and then did the now banned celebration. That's good.
Would Ilori be on that list?
I am impressed. I am very impressed that you got this. Yes, Thiago Ilori is on this list. 3.75 million. Bought in January 2017. I'm impressed you got that one. That one was beyond me.
Dave Kitson.
Dave Kitson is not on the list.
Yeah,
he's not on the list. Good shout.
I've got one life left, have I?
You got one life left. You've got four. You've done pretty well.
Left?
You've got 4 left. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, and again, you haven't said the player that I think is one of your favorites. And if I can give you a clue on that player, me.
You?
Yeah. It'll make sense once you get it.
I don't know who you're on about. My favourite Reading player.
It's what, 1 life left. He's got 1 life left, listeners.
I would... I'm trying to think here in terms of money. I would imagine that Sol Ki-hyun would be on that list.
Is that your final answer?
I want to say yeah.
All right. Yeah. Let's go with that. It's a good answer, but it's not right. Now, so Ben's out, unfortunately. He got Emma's Fae, who is on the list, Halford. Greg Halford, I had no idea who that is, so good job. George Pushkas. And then Ilori, I mean, like, so you got 50%. Like, that's pretty good. I'd say that's pretty good. Do you want to hear the others?
I'd love to, actually. Genuinely really invested in this.
I pulled this from an Oliver Scott on the Tilehurst end, by the way. So if he got it wrong, blame Oliver, not me. Anyway, so the person who took the mantle from Carla Saba in 2004, Bobby Convey. £900,000 for Bobby Convey. I thought you'd get Convey.
I thought it was a free transfer.
Okay.
I didn't. I always forget we paid money for him. So Carlos Saba, Convey is.
Then Bobby Convey.
What are you talking about?
It was broken.
Yeah, Convey. I thought it was a free transfer.
It was then broken next season by our first ever £1 million transfer. Can you guess that one?
Oh, Leroy Lita.
Yeah.
Why did I not think? Why have I missed him out?
I always forget Lita as well. The thing that I forget about Lita was that he came in a little bit later than later. He came in later than I remember. This one, I don't think you would have gotten. Adrian Mariappa, July 2012 for £3 million.
Do you know who I've missed?
Who's that?
Sonny Aluko.
You have done, yes. I thought you might get Aluko as well. Aluko, to me, is the poster child of the Dai Young era, really. Like, he is I remember Reading, I took my brother and my dad to see Reading play against Fulham, and Sonny Aluko played against us that day. They went down to 10 men within the first 10 minutes, and then we schlepped our way to a 1-1 draw after that, basically.
I'm raging. I forgot about that. Was Lucas João on there as well?
No, Lucas João is not on there, though I do remember that we paid a little bit of money for him.
Yeah, wasn't he like 5 million or something?
Yeah, he was. That's the thing. Like, some of these guys are just getting like swallowed up by us making stupid decisions, basically. Like, I mean, there's nothing that says the Dai Young era more than the fact that 3 of these happened in his era within 2 years of each other. So I mean, like
money.
I wonder what the issue was. £15 million, Ben. Imagine what you could. Just think about it for a minute. What could you do with £15 million? Could you buy Sonny Aluko and George Pushkas, though?
I'd buy that Pokemon card that Logan Paul had for 12 million.
Okay, I'd buy lots and lots of Siren Brewing and just have a old knees up. Yeah. So
have I missed anybody else?
No, that's it. That was everyone. So
and Lita, how stupid.
It's all right. It's all right. It's a tough game. This was only your first time. I honestly thought that this was going to be a disaster and you were going to be done after 2. So you did. Yeah. No. But just because like this one looked a little bit difficult and I didn't have time to go and find a different thing. So
I enjoyed that.
Yeah. Well, we'll keep doing it. We'll keep doing it because I like what we call it, question wang. Yeah, question wang will return like Captain America. So I think that's it, isn't it? Anything else? Any more for any more?
Nothing.
All right. Wow.
No, we play Plymouth on Saturday. They are bringing down a heck of a lot of people for. I mean, I guess it's the closest game, isn't it?
And they're really in good form.
Yeah.
And they're one of the few teams above Reading in the since Liam came in table. That kind of loss to us, that calamitous 15 minutes may have been the most calamitous 15 minutes of their entire season so far. I'm sure they could tell you otherwise, though. Is it still Tom Cleverley? Is he still hanging out down there? Who knows?
Yeah, he's clung on like a badger to a branch.
What a funny 2-week manager jump, by the way, to go from Jack Wilshere and then to who is it? I just said, literally just said
Tom Cleverley.
Tom Cleverley, yeah, Jack Wilshere, then Tom Cleverley. You can make a decent 2012 midfield with that. So, anyway, good stuff as always.
Enjoyed that. Onwards and upwards, hopefully. Big result needed on Saturday against, as Ross said, an informed Luton, an informed Plymouth Town, Plymouth United,
who play in the
Plymouth City,
in the famously very small arena of Bloomfield Road, Plymouth. That's what they do, you know.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Did you last thing, because this is League One news actually. Last thing before we go, did you see the Barcelona fan who went to Exeter's?
Yeah.
Look, he went to see Lamine Yamal, and this is my only mention of him today because Sean Patton has made me old rosy-eyed. He wanted to see Lamine Yamal. He got to see Jaden Wareham.
Amazing.
Yeah, amazing.
We move. We live in hope. We hope you've enjoyed episode 454 of whatever this was. We'll see you next time. We've got 2 games, and we've got Plymouth and then Burton away.
Yeah, it's a busy period of the season for sure. So we'll probably be back sometime around the same kind of time.
There's a lot of soccer ball to be played. We'll see what we can do.
Yeah.
Have a good weekend, everybody. Should be listening to this on Friday morning. Look after yourselves, and as always, come on you R's. Not come on Reading, which is what you said at the start.